Hey everyone, JagTagger93 here with another Doom mod review. Now I know I said I was planning on reviewing some of the other maps from the Quake Xmas 2018 pack, but I noticed this WOD on Doom World, and after reading the description I decided to download it and show it a bit of love. Now before we dive into it, I hope everyone out there had a very happy Christmas, and will be enjoying a very delightful and safe New Year as well. So like I said, the description of this WOD really got my attention. In the README file, the author, Peter Shawny Blacha, I'll just refer to him as Shawny from here on out, states that he put a bit of himself into this one. He says that he started this map in January 2017 as a means to cope with the anxiety of starting a new job, and then finished this map in October 2018 as a means to deal with the anger from losing said job. Now I really relate to that sentiment, and I really feel it too, because Doom has always been there for me too in both the good and bad times. I mean, it was there for me when I was in middle school. It was there for me in high school, there for me in college, grad school, and now as an adult. It's always been an excellent imagination outlet for me, and also an outlet for my emotions as well too. And really in a way that not a lot of other games are. And it may sound odd for people on the outside that don't really understand. Doom just seems like it's about, mindless violence and that's it. And yes, the mindless violence is a large part of it. And maybe people on the outside can kind of understand too a little bit about how Doom is also an outlet for aggression as well, a healthy outlet for aggression, but I also see it as an outlet for imagination and other feelings as well too, and that may seem a little odd to people on the outside, but people like Shawny and people in the community, they really get, where we're coming from. And really, Doom being a game that I can play, in both the good times and the bad, and capture my imagination and be an outlet for my emotions, that was very much possible by the thriving community that's been around Doom these past 25 plus years. And it was that community that have always been working and making new things and never really getting anything substantial, well not substantial, tangible in return outside of maybe praise and just treating it as an outlet for their own creativity as well. It's that creativity that makes this possible. So I really have this community that's been around for all these years to to thank. And I saw that in the description, and I just had to play and review this this WOD because what he said really hit home. So, like I said, he started this map in January 2017, and he wrapped it up in October 2018, and it really shows. This map is large and inconsistently designed. Some areas are very nicely detailed, others not so much. Now, given that, and given how long it was in development, this tells me that this project was engaged in by the author on an on-again, off-again basis, whenever the schedule afforded them. And what we got here is kind of a mixing pot of new ideas. In the README file, it states that the author's intention is to make a UAC-type facility on an island, and the impression I got was one that was kind of like a water treatment plant. But there are some odd bits and areas that don't really seem to fit with the overall theme. And it's just very odd, and they just kind of stick out. And again, some rooms are very, very Spartan, very plain, while others are more intricately detailed. However, the enemy placement is definitely a strength here. The enemy placement is very, very sneaky, and more often than not, if there's a blind corner, there's definitely an enemy there. Often you'll open a door, and you'll see some enemy standing right there, right in front of you, and it serves as bait to the unwary player. If you charge in to engage the monster, be it with your fists or a chainsaw to save ammunition, or to get up close with a shotgun on an imp to try and blow it away with one, blast, and if you do so without first checking those corners, those blind spots on the other side of the door, you will very likely be flanked by something nasty. Now, the author places enemies very smartly so as to provide them with ample opportunity to snipe at the player from different angles and even from long open distances. Corridors are also set up in such a way that the retreating behind cover tactic will often mean that when you do so, you're going to be exposing yourself to fire from another direction. And this makes the combat very engaging and very challenging. And it would be even more challenging if it wasn't for the fact that, at least on Hurt Me Plenty and on the lower levels too, health and armor pickups are so liberally strewn about. I mean, this author really seems to have a thing for lining walls with health bonuses, and they don't really serve as a helpful means to replenish health because you get them so often, and they serve more like breadcrumbs to help you navigate your way around this map. And the issue is, it's when you're getting all these items thrown at you again and again, it makes items like soul spheres just seem not really worth it. And it's kind of a part of a major problem with this map. Again, this map is absolutely huge, and I think it is to a bit of a fault. It's much too big, and a lot of it feels very unnecessary. Now, the author says this is intentional, as it's meant to be a callback to old school level design where not every portion of the map is essential towards reaching the exit. Okay, cool, and I'd agree, but there's no real incentive to explore, nor is there really any clear method of guiding the player along on the best path or the path that is towards the exit. Or at least none that I can see. And that's a shame, especially if you're going with a UAC type facility or a lived-in facility. Yes, you can have an open environment, and yes, you can have rooms that don't really serve much purpose outside of flavor. However, if you're in an office building, it's very clear where the exits are. It's very clear where your main path is. What I mean is, if I'm wandering around an office building, it's very unlikely I'm going to wander into a bathroom unless I have to go to the bathroom, you know what I mean? So here, each room, each path, they look very, very similar in that each one looks just as likely as the next to take you where you want to go. There's not really any hints that I saw that really cue you in that you're getting closer to an essential item, like a key or a switch. And this means that it's very likely a new player to this map will likely reach that dreaded point of large maps where they're stuck after having killed almost all the enemies in the WAD, and they'd have to start backtracking again and again to look for the remaining keys before progressing with the exit. Now, to get the most out of this WAD, I really recommend you play on Ultraviolence and save intermittently and as you go along, and don't try completing it all in one sitting. For the first 70 or 80% of the time you're playing this, you'll be engaged and having fun. The gameplay, especially at the beginning, is very tight, and it definitely keeps you on your toes. But before you know it, you'll come to that door, the door where you need the three different color keys to open, and you very likely will realize you don't have all the keys, so then you have to start backtracking, and that's where the map really starts to suffer. And once you get past that, once you do open that door, the final portion of the map does feel a bit drawn out unnecessarily. Now, I'm a sucker for maps that end with a theme in mind, and they have you do something besides just hitting the exit switch. In this WAD, you climb into a boat and escape the island, so that really is a nice touch, admittedly. I also really appreciate the zombie variants here, the different kind of scientists that you'll encounter, well, zombie scientists, and I appreciate that they suit the intended theme of the map. Really nice touch by the author there. I just wish that this map was trimmed down a little bit, or maybe the items were scaled down a bit on Hurt Me Plenty, and that way it'll make the major items like spheres and blue armor feel much more rewarding and enticing to the player. So what I mean is, if I'm playing and I'm going down a route that I believe is leading me to a key or to some sort of switch that'll help me progress through the level, but I'm actually not, and I actually instead come to a soul sphere, and if I'm low on health, I don't feel like I wasted my time. I feel like, oh, okay, this worked out. This is a lucky accident, However, on Hurt Me Plenty and on lower difficulties, what kept happening is I'd be wandering, going down a route that I think is taking me to a key. It's not. I end up at a soul sphere, and I'm already at 100 plus health, and it just feels like a waste. So, yeah. So, with all things considered, and I know it sounds like I'm ripping on this map a lot, it's not. I really enjoyed this map. It's just that one thing just drove me nuts. So that is why Hydrologica, I think that's how that's pronounced, gets a 7 out of 10 from me, or about 70%. Despite being inconsistent and feeling a little bit like an unnecessary slog at times, it is worth playing. And again, the first 70% of the map is very solid, and the firefights are very engaging, and while the author's attention to detail in certain areas is excellent, in other areas not so good, the firefights here are very consistently well done. So for those reasons, it's worth a playthrough. Just don't rely on the autosaves. Yes, there are autosaves here, but there's only 3 of them, and they're scattered about in this massive map, so yeah. Just save regularly, play this on Ultraviolence, and you should have a pretty good time with this one. And I just want to conclude by saying to the author of this map, Shawny, if you ever see this review, I really hope you get on your feet again, and I really hope that 2019 brings some good things for you. I mean, it really sucks losing your job, and I've been there. But being jobless for someone who's positive and someone who's determined is really not an end, but often it's a means to something much better, okay? That's at least what I found out in my own experience. So just keep applying, keep interviewing, keep moving forward, but also make sure you take necessary time for yourself as well. Do all you can, but don't dread over things you can't. And definitely make 2019 a great year, okay? And really, that's all I have to say about everything. Thank you all for watching. This is JagTagger93 signing out. Y'all have a happy and healthy and satisfying new year. Take care.